Our speaker each night this week is Dr. David Noebel. I had first been introduced to him and his ministry, Summit Ministries, back in the 70s when I was a student at Dallas Theological Seminary. A classmate of mine gave me one of the monthly newsletters that came out, and I was impressed with that, quoted different things from that for many years. And then about 10 years ago, I had my first opportunity to go to the pre-trib rapture study group in Dallas in December, and I was sitting next to him. And for many years, we sat next to each other and sort of commented back and forth without really developing an in-depth knowledge of each other. But I've always appreciated David's ministry. He is the president and founder of Summit Ministries. He's been a college professor, a college president, a candidate for U.S. Congress. He is an author and editor, a public speaker, and an ordained minister. He's recognized as an expert on worldview analysis. Dave is Dr. Worldview. And this is important for us to understand this whole concept of worldview, because worldview shapes, we pick it up, it's like an infection from the culture around us as we grow up, from parents, from peers, from the media, from all kinds of sources. It's just another word for human viewpoint in paganism. There are different kinds, different manifestations, and as we go through our Christian life, we're spending most of our time trying to figure out how to be unconformed to these worldview ideas that we have picked up along the way. So I thought it would be an opportunity for us to think through a lot of these issues. He is very much up to date with the challenges facing Christians and Christianity in America today. So I want to welcome Dr. David Noebel as our speaker.
Well, thank you very much. I heard that rounding applause. If I have any by Wednesday, that'll be a miracle. So let's get it out tonight. When I was asked to come here, Robbie said that I was speaking to some of the folk from Chafer Seminary, and I thought, wow, that's impressive. Maybe I better take them up. And I ran down to the kitchen where my wife was, shoeless, of course, hot stove. I said, honey, you will not believe what just happened. I just had a call from Dr. Robert Dean. He wants me to come and speak to a group of seminarians from Chafer Seminary. I said, honey, they're PhDs. Honey, they're THDs. They're DDs. They're SUVs. I said, honey, how many great men do you think there are in this world? And she said, I think there's one less than you think there is. So there is a sense of humor here. I've been told no sense of humor. No one says amen. In our church, if someone says amen, that's it. The preacher goes 20 more minutes. It's a PCA church, let me tell you. Very few amens in that PCA church. But I have spoken in Pentecostal churches, and I'll tell you, it does get to you. A couple of amens to a preacher is just like sig 'em. So I better get the sig 'em out, because I'm going to try to do a few impossible things here in the next few nights. I'm going to try to convince you that there is a Christian worldview. There is a Christian worldview. If you're looking for the theological niche, it certainly is under apologetics. At least that's the way we treat it at the Summit. I think it's a great weapon. I think it is a great weapon. And I think we make a huge mistake in sending our young people off to these institutions of higher learning and leaning without one. And that's what we're doing, my friends. Now, I don't have a whole lot of young people to talk to tonight. In fact, some of you look like you're over the hill. But let me encourage you, you're not over the hill. I nearly lost my faith at the University of Wisconsin. I came so close, I can actually take you to the spot. Even today, where it went. And the sky was totally black. And I nearly said goodnight to the whole thing. And God placed an 86-year-old fella in front of me. 86. I know most of you think he is over the hill. 86 years of age, still up on all the issues. He wasn't spending his time with one foot in the Caribbean. And if it were not for Vern Cobb, I wouldn't be here tonight. Isn't that amazing? I mean, humanly speaking. And Vern just showed me what was going on. I didn't really fully understand what was going on. I knew I was losing it. You know how that is? You know you're losing it, but you don't know why. Well, my friends, he tried to show me why. I got a little picture of it, but now in the last 40-some years, I've been figuring it out still. And I think I have a pretty good handle on what's going on. So I'm just going to throw it out at you, and you tell me what you think. And if you don't like it, I'll be back tomorrow night. Let me say this. Now, I've scripted this quite closely because I only have 3 hours. And you know what's interesting is it takes me nearly 9 hours of introductory lectures before we turn the kids over to the first chapter in this book. 9 hours of introduction before we even move them into what we feel will be the essence of the worldview studies. So I'm doing this as quickly as I possibly can. I hope you understand that. And I will miss a lot of material in between, and I know some of you are going to call me on that later. But I don't know how else to do it because I can only do so much. But first of all, let me be somewhat serious. I want to thank the powers that be for this invitation and on a very controversial subject. I know some of you might think, controversial subject, come on. Let me tell you, my friends, worldview in itself is a controversial subject, and a Christian worldview is even more so. And I can take you to many places, and that just can't be. There just can't be a Christian slant on life. Because a worldview covers all of life. Well, then you have to figure out, is there something that escapes? Is there something that escapes? So we'll see how that pans out. Also, I want to thank you for the opportunity to say a few nice things about our work at the Summit, and I will do that sometime in the next few days. Now, that's primarily for you young people, 16 and above, and I'm not sure we have too many 16 and above here tonight. Do we? How many are 16, 17, 18, 19 in that area? So we have a few here? Yeah, I know. Tommy Ice is in his third childhood. Trust me. And also, Robbie, thank you for the possibility of mixing it up with such an august body of believers. I think that's important to do. A lot of people don't like to do that, but I think it's important for Christians to get together and mix it up a little bit. And there are differences of opinion on a lot of things, and as you're going to see, I have it here. And I'm opinionated too. My wife says that anyway. I don't know. I don't feel I am. In fact, in my family, I have the last word. Yes, dear. But anyway, I have opinions on a lot of things. That is absolutely true. But then I've looked at a lot of things too, and I figured, hey, I've spent some time on these things. But you know what? It's bigger than that. There's no one person that can spend time on everything. I remember Henry Morris told me once, he said, there are 150 publications on biology that come out nearly every month. 150. And he says, I can't work my way through 150 every month, much less keep tabs on everything else. I forget what we were talking about, but he just wanted me to know, hey, if you're going to be an expert in some areas, you're going to spend a lot of time in just that area. I'm not an expert in all these areas. I'm more of, as I told Robbie the other day, I'm more of a generalist. But, hey, then you find out who your friends are and who are the specialists and who are the experts, and you look at that too. So what I want to do here is just figure out what's going on. What is going on? I got part 1, part 2, part 3. And I contend that what's going on, well, I'll tell you what the answer is right now. What is going on in our society is really nothing more, nothing less than a clash of worldviews. That's where I'm going to come from. And you see what you think. I call it a collision of worldviews, clash of worldviews. I'm going to look at this from a number of different angles, and I'm going to bring as much ammunition to it as I can, and I'm going to shoot it off. And I've given some of you notes, and I don't know where those notes are. Are they on your DVDs? Is that how we did that here? So you have some of these notes and whatever. But the rest of you don't have them, so don't worry about it. Okay, I want you to listen to this, and you tell me what's going on here. This is a letter from a mother. The mother says, our daughter was raised, and by the way, this was addressed to one of our Summit faculty, Dr. Ron Nash, who is no longer with us, by the way. He passed away a few years ago, but one of our great professors. Our daughter was raised in a Christian school and in a Christian home where we taught her Christian values and morals, and she learned that Jesus Christ is the way of salvation. That's pretty good, isn't it? You all with me so far? 2 years out of high school, at 20 years of age, she enrolled at the University of Oregon. We were apprehensive, but we trusted her judgment as she had always shown clear vision. We did not know, Dr. Nash, that this is one of the most liberal universities in the nation. Unfortunately, she was overwhelmed by her professors and began to believe their philosophies. She graduated 2 years ago and has turned her back on everything she believed. What I missed here was her major. She had a double major. What do you think her majors were? I know what some of you are going to think. You're going to say anthropology, sociology, psychology, philosophy. In that area, what do you think? Atheism. Do you know what her majors were? She graduated 2 years ago with a political science and English degree and has turned her back on everything she believed in. Does that surprise you? Does that surprise you? Political science? You lose your faith in political science? English? And incidentally, for you parents that have been away from the academy, the last place you want to take English is at the university. Yeah. And I'll show you in a second why. Anyway, what happened to this young lady? 20 years of age even, not 18. 20 years of age. University of Oregon. 4 years later, out. By the way, I didn't read the last part either, did I? We are trusting God to bring our girl back. Is this a cry of a mother or not? We are trusting God to bring our girl back. The wait is sometimes difficult, but we are on bended knee. How many times has that happened? Do you know how many times this happens? Do you know how many times this happens? thousands of times every year. Campus Crusade for Christ says if they don't reach some of our students within the first 6 weeks on campus, they lose them for 4 years. The study at UCLA many years back, I nearly had it. I nearly had the name. Don't get old. They just fall right through the cracks. But hang on, my cards are flipping. It'll come to me sooner or later here. A study at UCLA, 39 to 60% walk away from their Christian faith in 4 years of college. And that was a study of evangelical students, by the way. Evangelical students. Norm Geisler thinks it's higher than that right now. Southern Baptist, this you will not find in print, but the Southern Baptist had a little study of their students at their schools, Southern Baptist colleges. And what they found, most of you in this room could not handle. Could not handle. This was a mother. And keep in mind, political science and English. This is a father. This is a father. In fact, PhD father. In fact, PhD in physics father. Our daughter was nearly thrown out of Southern Oregon University, a tax finance school near here, midway through her first quarter as a college student this past month. Thrown out. The daughter was nearly thrown out. After a very serious argument with university officials, she is being permitted to complete the academic year, but has been told in no uncertain terms, you're out of here. What do you think this girl did? Must have been pretty serious. Maybe she charged the president's office. Maybe she smoked his cigar. No, in fact, the dad says she's a shy 18-year-old Christian young lady. She got to the university and clipped all her first-year courses. She's in her second year already. She's 18. And she's taking calculus, physics, and chemistry all at the 200th grade level. And she's getting A's. B in chemistry. Dummy. Now here's a father speaking, so you should listen to this. It is true that she lacks the drugs, alcohol, and sexual promiscuity, nose, ear, and tongue rings. And tongue rings. Have you seen some of these tongue rings, by the way? They go all the way back. And they come out with a chain that goes all the way down to the big toe. This is hip. And this is cool. And I want to prove to you, my friends, tonight, I have self-control. Because when I met one, I could hardly hold back. I wanted so much to just clip that chain like you could not believe. But I did not. Self-control. Call me Mr. Self-control. Nose, ear, and tongue rings, tattoos, arrogant lack of respect for older adults, dishonesty, profanity of speech, all characteristic of her fellow students. And she's getting kicked out of school. Why would they kick her out? Because she refused to take the Oregon State religion course. She said no. She said, I'll take more philosophy classes. I'll take more chemistry classes, even if I'm getting B's. I'll take more physics classes, because she's getting A's in physics because her daddy has a PhD in physics, and she wants to be like her daddy, which I really like myself, but I've been told I can't say that anymore. So I say it every place I can get around. Isn't this amazing? She would not take the Oregon State religion course. Now, you say, how did she know that she didn't want to take that course? Well, that's in here too. Her brother took it the year before. He's also working on he's going to get his PhD too, okay? He's going to get his PhD in physics as well. In fact, he already has it, I believe. He already knew about this course because he took it the year before. Listen to this. His name was Zachary. It was a required course. It was so raw, the course was so raw, that his 45-year-old male chemistry advisor was too embarrassed to discuss the contents with him. So the little sister coming right behind him says, if it's too raw for a 45-year-old chemistry professor, and it's too raw for my brother, do you think I want to take this course? Nick verstehen Sie Zickel. Or words to the effect. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right here. Some of you are so naive that you don't believe there is such a thing as the Oregon State religion course, right? Right? How many really you doubt it? You just can't believe there is a course at Oregon called the Oregon State Religion. Really? Well, I got news for you. You're right. They don't call it the Oregon State Religion course. They call it health. It's called health. And every freshman has to take health course. Otherwise, you get unhealthy. I got consumption here. Hang on here. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing, my friends? Called health. But her daddy knew what it was because Zachary told him what it was the year before. And the dad with his PhD in physics says, you know what that course is? That course is nothing more or nothing less than atheistic secular humanism. That's what the course is. And you know what? That was absolutely right. It's exactly what it was. It's the Oregon State religion. Now, I haven't proven that point. I'm hoping to get to that. I'm hoping to get there. I want to prove to you, my friends, that secular humanism is just as religious as Christianity, just as religious as any religion, including Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam, and yet no one faces up to this point. Now, I did bring our latest book on the subject. It's the 3rd edition of Clergy in the Classroom, and I will share that with you one way or the other in these next few nights. Wow. She was kicked out of school in 1 year. Now, I take this guy's, I don't know why I take it. It's called Access to Energy, and it's all written in scientific lingo, you know, with all the funny quicks and quirks. And that means earth. But I read it, and I miss a lot, I'm sure, but I didn't miss this one. I didn't miss this one. I read that and I said, you bet. State-sponsored religion. He's got that right, too. It's exactly what it is. State-sponsored religion. But anyway, he's a PhD in physics, so he's got something going for him. So he wrote to all of his subscribers, and I happen to be one of them. And he said, would you please write the president of the school a letter and ask him to reinstate my daughter? Now, I usually do what I'm told. So I sat down and wrote the president a letter. Oh, single space, about 14 pages. Yes. Yes. Took me 2 weeks. I wanted to make sure it was literary in case the president knew how to read English. Am I being too cynical here, Robbie? Oh. That's grease. That's Vegemite. No one here has ever heard of Vegemite either, right? I wrote him a wonderful letter, told him why he needed this girl back, and maybe dump a few from the chain and the tongue rings and things like that. I was trying, but I was nice. I did this very nicely, and I had a couple read it for me. They took out half of it. I guess it was 28-page letter because I got about 14 pages back. And they said, okay. You know what? I didn't hear anything. Didn't hear a thing. Why is it that I write all such nice letters and never hear back? I have no idea. But that's what happened. But all of a sudden, about 8 months later, I got a letter from Access to Energy editor. Thank you. My daughter has been reinstated. Wow. With your letter and my $132 million lawsuit. She has been reinstated. The president called her personally and said, "Get back here." Isn't that a neat story? I like it. And I remembered this. I'm going to keep this in mind. The next time I'm in a bind, I'm going to sue for 132. There must be something about that number that just coagulates all those snapsies that we were talking about the other day. How many snapsies do we have? I mean, someone mentioned that. Wasn't that here that someone mentioned the snapsies? Trillions! So I think that president had a few of his trillions snapped. You know, 132 million is a lot of money. Have you all figured that out? I bet you Chafer knows that. The Chafer Seminary knows that. Yeah, you get in debt 132 million, you really know about it. Anyway, I thought you'd like to know the story. It had a good ending. She is now on her way to a PhD, by the way. This happened in 1998. So she's already out of that school, back in... She was going to go to MIT, but then she ended up at Stanford. Second-rate school. Anyway, we got her a PhD. Her brothers got a PhD. Her other brothers got a PhD. Wow. What a family. Just for your information, I'm for it 100%. And I'll mention that a little later on because I have some challenges here for some of you, and you need to hear it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Let's go back to that first letter. You said she majored in political science and English. I don't believe you can lose your faith there. So I clipped off the Cornell University English department. I want you, my friends, right here in this auditorium, to figure out what's going on in our English departments. You think that's the safest place to be, right? Yes, safest place to be. You can do this, by the way, just right off the computer. Just go to cornell.edu, whatever that stands for. And you will have the English faculty at Cornell. James Eli is an expert in gender and sexuality. A lot of English there, brother. Frederick Bogle is an expert in Marxist theory. There's a lot of English there, brother. Oh, it says here, taught in Russian. Okay. No, that's a joke. I just threw that in there, but it's so... You don't take everything seriously here, right? And besides, I'm from Manitou Springs, Colorado, where our slogan is, we know nothing, and we can prove it. Laura Brown is an expert in feminist criticism, Marxist criticism, and cultural criticism. How's that for a threesome. No, what is it called? Threefer. That's a threefer. Yes. You have to have a... This, I still don't believe this, but it's here. Okay, you can see it when we're done. Eric Chafer is an expert in federal Indian law. Federal Indian law. What has that to do with English? You're asking the wrong person. I'm from Manitou Springs, Colorado. Barbara Correll is an expert in gender, cultural studies, lesbianism, bisexuality, and gay studies. That's more than a three for there. That's a sixer. Hang in there, it gets better. This is just the first page. This goes on for 3 pages. Let's see. Alice Fulton is an expert in Marxist writing. Isn't that neato? Postmodernism and feminoid theory. That's feminist, but I just threw that in too. You got to have a sense of humor when you go to this school, okay? Hang in there. Hang in there. Ellis Hansen is an expert in lesbian and gay studies and psychoanalysis. Did we hear about that today? If we knew how important Freud was to our civilization, by the way. Do I need to go any further than that? Of course not. That's just the English department there. Oh, come on. There has to be a break here someplace. Let's go to one of our favorite schools, founded by an evangelical Christian. I have it right here. Yeah, this school. Founded by an evangelical Christian. So you want to certainly send your most precious possession there. This school indulges in hating whitey. By the way, this is from their own student publication. This is just, I didn't have to even make this up. I know some of you are thinking, you must have made this up before you got here. Because you know how we are down in Houston area. We believe everything. This school indulges in hating whitey. It has a visceral hatred for the United States. Then this is from the Oberlin Review. Some 800 to 1,000 students typically attend an annual college-sponsored, administration-approved safer sex night. Oh. It's an orgy held on campus. That's according to their own newspaper. I didn't make that up. I know some of you are thinking, you threw that in. No, it's right there. An orgy held on campus. Yeah. That's the student newspaper. It says here, quote, educational, sexually explicit videos are played on TV screens. Students sit in booths and G-strings and halter tops. Other students, the paper reported, simply go in their birthday suit. It's naked. Students can enter something called the tent of consent. The tent, well, it's got a little rhythm there, I guess. But that's in the fall of the year. You want to know what goes on in the spring of the year? Can you handle the spring of the year? Oh, yeah, it must be twice as bad as this. Instead of 800 to 1,000 students, 2,000 show up. Yeah, I got you. I like that, by the way. I'll keep that in mind. No, in the spring they have what they call drag ball. Drag ball. Yes. It is sponsored by the Transgender Awareness Week group. Oh, and they're there to celebrate this college's queer community. Queer is their word, not mine. You know, a few years ago, that was a bad word. Now, they love that word. It's their word. It's their word. Culminates in a week of talks and film screenings to celebrate the experiences of transgender, transsexual, intersexual, and other gender variant people. Now, I have to admit something here, friends. I'm from Colorado. I don't understand half of that. If you ask me what some of that meant, I don't even know if it's in the dictionary. Of course, in Colorado, we don't use dictionaries. But I don't know. And you don't want to hear on page 3. I was just on page 2, by the way. All that was just page 2. Page 3, you would be out of here. And it's raining outside. We better stay here. What's going on? What's going on? Would you say there's a clash of values someplace in here? Would you say there's a clash of something here? Well, wait till you find out, my friends. And it's easier to find out than you can believe. I have here. This can only happen in California right now, but you know what? I'll bet you it'll be elsewhere before we're finished. Incidentally, California has just ruled on homeschoolers. How many know that, by the way? Good for you. How many really know that? Seriously, you really know that? Good for you. I like that crowd already. We might stay here all night. And don't say amen. So California has just passed a law seeking to outlaw homeschoolers. Tom, you said that the governor came out against that law? Did you all know that? Because I didn't see it. I was looking for it in the paper this morning. How many know that that's the case? Governor said, drop dead to the judge or whatever. Good for him. Huh? They can override that veto in that. Oh, okay. I'm going to keep up on that one too, but I was looking for it this morning because I wanted to bring it with me, but I didn't see it. Oh, was it? Well, this is WorldNet Daily too. A new plan by a California lawmaker allows schools to be used to promote the overthrow of the United States government. Can't get any worse, can it? Just 3 weeks ago, we were told we can't. Oh, as of January the 1st of this year, no textbooks in the state of California can use 2 words. What are they? Mother and father. Yes. Yes. As of January the 1st, no textbooks in the state of California can use the words mother and father because that is homophobic language. And it's very insulting language. Now we can promote the overthrow of the U.S. government. It lets teachers in public district classrooms inculcate in the mind of any pupil a preference for communism. And you thought communism was dead, right? I bet you most of you in this room thinks communism is graveyard dead. I mean, the Berlin Wall came down, and therefore it came down. And the answer is, are you kidding? Are you kidding? We could stop right here, and I could give you a 10-hour lecture on communism right now. I won't, but I could. Incidentally, I do edit the Schwartz report for those of you that are interested in the subject. I don't know if you know this or not. Communism is coming through Latin America like you can't believe. You cannot believe. Anyway, that's another subject for another year. Just when we thought the indoctrination in California public schools could not get any worse, state lawmakers introduced a bill that will further brainwash innocent children. It's Senate Bill 1322, in case you want to look it up tonight. 1322, Senate Bill 1322. This bill allows the promotion of communism in public schools, etc., etc., etc. I won't read the whole thing for time's sake, but I have it with me. Now, I have summarized, and I don't know if I gave this to you in advance or not, so it might not be on your DVD or whatever you have there, but I have summarized the state of higher education very quickly, and I want to just run through it, and then you tell me if there's not a clash here someplace. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that clash, and I'm going to use... how many sources do I have? I won't get through them all, but I have plenty of other outside sources now, okay, not just me. Outside sources, and I've gone looking for them too. It took me a while to find them, but I've tried to find other sources that have come to basically the same conclusion. I call this the state of higher education, what's in and what's out. And you'll catch on when I move through this. We could stop on each point, by the way, and spend quite a bit of time. But for time's sake, I'm just not going to do that. Maybe I might mention a few. Some of these are really interesting. What's in on state of higher education? By the way, I have a bibliography at the bottom, but number 10 is The Free Fall of the American University by James Nelson Black. James Nelson Black used to write for Chuck Colson's Breakpoint radio program. Free Fall of the American University. Nearly everything he has there, I've sort of summarized here as well. What's in? The secular humanist worldview is in. How long do you think it would take to prove that point? Well, we're going to start on that. Not tonight, but we'll start on that. Well, if that's what's in, what's out? Biblical Christian worldview is out. Biblical Christian worldview is out. Political correctness is in. Traditional values are out. Relativism is in. Absolutes are out. Are you sure, Professor? Absolutely stupid. I just threw that in. Gender, race, and class are in. Moral order is out. Darwinian evolution is in. Creation is out. Marx is in. Von Mises is out. Darwin is in. Nietzsche is in. Freud in. Morris, C.S. Lewis out. Sagan is in. Gould is in. Richard Dawkins and Richard Rorty are in. Lewis, Joad, and Plantinga are out. Positive law is in. Natural, biblical law is out. Perfectibility of human nature is in. Original sin is out. Self is in. Soul is out. Now I'm going to come back to that point a little later on because I'm going to disagree a little bit on whether or not there is such a thing as Christian psychology. And I'm going to base my case on what that word means. Psychology should be the study of the soul. What's the first lesson we learn in Psych 101? There is no soul. That's the first lesson. In fact, there is no mind. Would that bother you, by the way, if you walked into class and found out you didn't have a mind? I was always wondering about that. I'm thinking to myself, wow. Well, Professor, how do you know that? Well, we've cut it up. Brother Watson just cut that thing up. And he just took that brain and chipped it up, chip. And at the end, there was no soul. No soul. Well, Professor, did he find an idea? Idea. No, he didn't find an idea either. Why go to class? No mind, no idea. And now they're talking about maybe no consciousness. Yes. You're all unconscious, right, as we speak it? You would just think, yes, thank you. You would just think that someone would figure that out. But no. And that self is even worse than that. It's not just self anymore. It used to be self. Just a few years ago it was self. Now it's selves. Many selves. Yes. So you're not just a self anymore. You're a multitude of selves. In fact, you know how many selves you are? An infinite number. Because you are a different self every nanosecond. Isn't that neat to know? Every nanosecond, you're a different self. So if you're self A and you kill someone, by the time they catch you, you're self Z. You're as innocent as the wind-driven snow of Kansas. Or Ohio now, I guess, but whatever. Atheistic naturalism is in, theism is out. Homosexuality is in, heterosexuality is out. I can take you to a campus right now in that beautiful state of California, and no one wants to be called heterosexual. None. In fact, they refer to themselves as bugs, lugs, and gugs. Gay until graduation, bisexual until graduation, lesbian until graduation. That's a mark of honor. Feminism is in. Family is out. By the way, I don't know if you're keeping up on this either. The feminoids contend that no male can save them, so therefore there is no Christ. So they have come up with Christa, the female Christ. Isn't that neato? I've seen a picture of her too, by the way. She's nude on a cross. Now, they have run into a snag. They have yet to find someone that'll come back from the dead in 3 days. Now, I have written on this too. In fact, I have written them a letter. But as is the case with most of my letters, that has also gone unanswered. But I thought it was a wonderful suggestion, because I thought certainly out of 250,000 members of the NAGS, or the NOW organization, NAGS. Where did I get that? That's Rush Limbaugh, I bet. Out of the NOW organization, certainly one of those will come back from the dead. Okay. Never heard boo from them. But Phyllis Schlafly told me once they have no sense of humor. And I think I discovered that, Phyllis. She also said something else that was very wise. She said, let the women take care of those women. You guys stay out of it. So I've done it ever since. Yeah. No more letters. Yeah. Abortion is in. Adoption is out. Sex education is in. Moral education is out. Progressive education is in. Reading, writing, and arithmetic are out. Feeling is in. Thinking is out. Irrationalism is in. Logic is out. Third world is in. Western civilization is out. I always tell our students at the summit, if you want to get the best grade in the class, just do an article on your hatred of Western civilization. You'll get a straight A. No matter what you say. No matter what you say. Deistic founding fathers are in. Christian Unitarian founders are out. By the way, that's interesting too, and we won't take time on this. None of the early Christian founders were deistic, except maybe Thomas Paine. All the rest were Unitarian or Christian. And keep it in mind, my friends, the Unitarians of those days still believed the Bible, which they don't today, but in those days they still believed the Bible. Multiculturalism is in. White, male, heterosexual Europeans are out. Why can't we have Shakespeare? For that very reason. Oppression studies are in. Everyone's a victim. Everyone's a victim. The Bible, Milton, and Shakespeare. I got this here. I forgot about I had it. Bible, Milton, and Shakespeare, all out. All out. Globalism is in, called world government. National sovereignty is out. How much time you want to spend on that one, by the way? Ooh, could we spend some time on that one, right? Animal rights are in. Human rights are out. I tell our students, when they go after your human rights, tell them you're an animal. Welfarism is in. Capitalism is out. Moral equivalence is in. Free to excel is out. The New York Times is in. The Washington Times is out. Transcendentalism and yoga in. Prayer, forget it. You can walk into a classroom, nearly any classroom today, go to the front of the room, squat on the floor in a yoga position, pyramid power, right here, and go for 45 minutes. That's educational. Anti-Bible is in, Bible is out. Ted Turner's 10 initiatives are in, the 10 commandments are out. The new humanist accidental man is in, God's creation. Man created in the image of God is out. Is out. Forget it. What's going on? Isn't that our question here? Someplace? Yes. It says here, what's going on? Do you know what I say is going on? A gigantic clash of civilizations, a gigantic clash of worldviews, a gigantic collision of ideas. I want to develop all those. But I'm going to make it as simple as I can make it. I'm going to contend for our discussion tonight that 6 worldviews are dictating what's going on in the world today. 6 worldviews are dictating what's going on in the world today. Now, I know some of you in this very room are going to tell me that I am simplistic, overly simplistic. Okay, that could very well be true, but remember, I'm in a youth ministry, and I got to try to convince our juniors and seniors in high school and some of our college students that they can figure out what's going on. You know what? I think they can. I think they can. And you know what proves it to me? In 2 weeks that they spend with us, most of them have figured it out. And they start to put the pieces together. It's really amazing. It's really amazing. At least it's amazing to me. But just to show you that I'm not overly simplistic, I didn't bring this book with me, but some of you will enjoy reading this book. It's by an atheist, incidentally. It's by an atheist. The name of the book is called Just 6 Numbers. The author is Martin Rees. Martin Rees is the head of the Royal Society in England, which means that that's a position I hear is comparable to the head of our National Academy of Sciences. He's written this book. It's a fascinating book. It's published by HarperCollins. His argument is, let me just listen to this. See if this whets your appetite. Astronomy is the oldest numerical science. Astronomy is the oldest numerical science. It is the science of numbers. And this book is the story of 6 numbers that are crucial for our universe and our place in it. The argument is very simple. He contends that 6 numbers define, describe, and explain the whole physical universe. Isn't it amazing? I could hardly get out of the book, and I didn't understand a lot of it. Trust me. Okay? I mean, to me, you mean 6? I can count to 6. Yeah. Wow. If I can count to 6, I bet you a few others can count to 6. You mean if I knew 6 numbers, I could explain the whole physical universe? That's his argument. It's his argument. Now, I have it in 2 different varieties. I have it in a high school version and a college version. Those of you that are interested in this, you can make copies of this if you wish. I'm just going to give you the essence of it. Is that fair enough? Just a couple numbers. I understood one of the 6. I understood this one. The spatial dimensions in our world. The number is 3. I understood that. Yeah. He says if it were 2 or 4, we wouldn't be here. Yeah, we'd all be his walk. The first one is an interesting number. It is the strength of the electrical forces that hold atoms together. The strength of the electrical forces that hold atoms together, divided by, that's what that got me. Divided by the force of gravity between them. Someone here needs to explain that to me on a blackboard, please. I can give you the number, I just don't understand it. The number is 10 to the 36th power. That's the number. 10 to the 36th power, or you would not be here tonight. You say, well, where would I be? No place. You say, well, everyone's got to be someplace. No, you wouldn't exist without that number. That's what he's telling us. Without that number, you're his what? Little French. Number 2, the proportion of energy that's released when the hydrogen fuses into helium. I never knew this. And there's a number. There's a number. The number is 0.007. I'll bet you didn't know that either. Are we doing all right? This is for high school kids, so you better grab it. Yeah. I better grab it too. You know what he says? If the number was 006 or 008, we would not exist. One little click, and you're out of here. The actual density of matter in the universe. See, I never thought of these things before. I couldn't put the book down. I could not put the book down. Well, when I found out he was an atheist, for sure I didn't want to put the book down because I've been reading up on all the atheists, okay? I'm having a ball, trust me. I wanted to find out where he was coming from. The actual density of the matter of the universe is 0.4. 0.4. If it was 0.3 or 0.5, there would be no physical universe. This is heavy stuff. And this is the high school version. You want to hear the college version of all this stuff? It's just these numbers that go like this. Ay, ay, ay. The ratio of energy, I never thought of this. The ratio of energy required to break apart a galaxy. I never thought of that. What would it take to bump the Milky Way? That's where we liveth. Most of us. What kind of energy? Whoa. The number, now some of you are going to catch me on this one. I missed the key part. The ratio of energy to break apart a galaxy compared to its, quote, rest mass energy. Rest mass? I have it. When you sleep, yes. The number is 10 to the negative fifth power. I'm not sure what that means either. Or 0.00001. And if that number weren't there, my friends, you wouldn't be here tonight. Singing, listening, sleeping. If this number wasn't in existence, there is no universe. That's what he says. There is no universe. And then the one I know, the spatial dimensions in our world, is 3. I got that one. I told my wife, honey, I figured this guy out. But listen to this. This is interesting to me. On pages 23 and 150, do you know what this atheist says? I thought this was really interesting. Even though he's an atheist, and he accepts the multiverse theory, which means there are infinite universes with infinite numbers. Isn't that amazing? You talk about the reverse of Occam's razor. Occam just flipped a coin as we speaketh. He does not think that one is irrational for accepting the proposition that a beneficent creator finely tuned the universe. Isn't that nice of this atheist? You are not as nuts as Christopher Hitchens says you are. You should go home happy tonight. And he says that twice. He says it on page 23 and page 150. It's a fascinating point. I haven't written him my letter yet. But I would tell him, hey, you are turning me on big time. Because if 6 numbers define the physical universe, this is a pretty big thing. You know what I'm saying? Have you all realized that the physical universe is pretty big? How big? Pretty big. And no one understands it yet. We've just found a little more dark energy. Did you see that article, by the way? That was just within the year. They found a whole clump of dark energy. And the author, which is a Harvard astrophysicist, says we use the word dark energy because we don't know what it is. So we use the word dark energy. Isn't that neat? Yeah. And now I've been reading that maybe 75% of the universe is dark energy. 75%. Hey, my friends, If that's true, that means we haven't known the physical universe until just recently, and we still don't know what it is. Which means most of us are pretty ignorant on the subject, right? Well, but that's not my point. My point is this. If 6 numbers can define the whole physical universe, I'm arguing that 6 numbers can define what's going on in this world. You see where I'm going on that? And you know what? When I tell the young people that, eureka, eureka, you mean teenagers can understand what's going on? Yeah. Yeah. Teenagers can understand what's going on. Well, what's going on? A clash or collision of worldviews, my friends. That's what's going on. 6 of them. You want to hear what they are? Have them all outlined for you. Have them all outlined for you. By the way, doesn't work. Christianity, Islam, secular humanism, Marxism, cosmic humanism, and postmodernism. What's this? Am I done? What happened?
Is that on? To what?
They're off. Don't worry about it. I'm nearly done anyway. Oh, it's nearly 9.
Projectors will come on 2 seconds. You use it.
I'll drink to that.
Amen.
You want to know what's going on in the world? A collision of world views. It is a heavyweight 15-rounder to the end. And you know who's basically involved in that fight? Your kids. Your children and grandchildren, my friends. You know where the battle is? The battle is 15 to 25. That's the big area. Now, they spend a little money before 15. That's true. They're doing first grade right now. Heather has 2 mommies. Gay pride parade. Daddy's roommate. And they've just added another one. The King and King. King and King. You don't want to read that one either. That's first grade, by the way. That's first grade. But the big battle is 15 to 25. My challenge to you, my friends, is we need to hang on to our kids from 15 to 25. Don't tell me you're going to drop them off at the university at 18 and see them 4 years later. You won't see the same person 4 years later. And I will close probably on Wednesday with that challenge. It really bothers me. The issues in our world today center around these 6. No matter how you move around it, you will come back to it. I can nearly guarantee it. It's Christianity in this corner, Islam in this corner, secular humanism in this corner, Marxism in that corner, cosmic humanism, this big ring, that corner, and postmodernism in this corner. Those are the big 6. Now, you're going to argue, I don't see Judaism in there, and I don't see Buddhism in there, and I don't see Hinduism in there. They're there. They're there. Sometimes a little hidden, but they're there. These are the 6 that are vying for the hearts and minds of our Christian young people today. Big time. With tactics and strategy that would scare most of you to death. And that's sad to say, but it's true. But it's true. Now, because our time is nearly finished, what I'm going to do is let's stop right here. Tomorrow night, I'm going to start right here, and I have brought to my help, we'll probably start with 10 or 11. who have also seen this collision and this course and this type of approach. This type of approach. In fact, I found a quote that just blows me away. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lord Acton. Lord Acton, ring a bell here? He's famous for one quote. What is it? Power corrupts. Absolute power. He's world famous for that quote, and you will find that in Bartlett's Book of Quotations. But I have another quote that fits to the bill everything I'm talking about here, and I will read that to you. And for those of you that want it, I'll tell you exactly where you can find it, okay? But Lord Acton, I think, was one of the great historians of the 20th century, although he's usually referred to as the 19th. Well, he lived somehow in the 19th century, but you know what? He lived at the end of that century, and nearly everything he predicted came to pass. It's really amazing. He's quite a guy. But all he did was he looked at the ideas behind the movements. Okay? He just didn't look at the movements. Most historians go from one army and one battle to the next army to the next battle to one army and to another battle, and that's history. Okay? Lord Acton says that. No. Even armies move on ideas. Even armies move on ideas. You check the ideas out, and you'll see exactly where things are going. And I think that's exactly what happened. And we'll pick those pieces up there. Is that all right? Because it is getting late. Okay, do I have 5 minutes for questions, Robbie? Is that how you want to do this? Okay, what do we want to do tonight? Where's the challenge? What are you thinking? Are we going into the right direction? What's going on? Do you think we've answered some of that already? What's going on? Well, if we haven't, we'll see it. And I'm going to give you Lord Acton and what he says and how many ideas generally dictate any particular historical period. How many ideas? He says you look at just the ideas, you can nearly determine what's going to happen in that historical scenario. I think he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely correct. And I've identified more than what he says is normally the task. But we'll see, okay? Because some of you are going to tell me, hey, I think we can summarize some of those a little different. Well, that's fine. I don't really care about that. But we'll have fun doing it. Okay, questions tonight. I didn't scare anyone out yet? Yes.
Which one of these six do you think is fueling Obamamania?
He is by far the most liberal of the candidates. And as we go through this, you'll be able to tell. But it's number 3 more than you think. I know you're thinking maybe it's number 2, but it's really number 3. Oh, are you looking at the chart? Oh, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at my own list, which is probably jumbled.
Oh, okay. Robbie. It does work. You paid the electrical bill. Okay, those are the 6. Christianity, Islam, secular humanism, Marxism, New Age. What does that translate? What's Eastern New Age? Hinduism, that's right, and postmodern. Those are the big 6 that I'm arguing. And by the way, they are all evangelistic worldviews. Notice that. They're all evangelistic worldviews, which means by definition, they're all looking for disciples and converts. Yes, and some use different tactics. Yes, like swords. Yes. But I would say number 3 for your question, but that'll take a little bit to do because basically left liberalism today is to a great extent the ideas of secular humanism. Yeah. Way in the back.
What were the results of that Southern Baptist study?
Ask Tommy. He'll make it up. High. More than Norm Geisler used to tell the students. And his highest was 65%. Yeah, it was really something. Now, you're the one that went through our summit program, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to be here for the next couple nights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have you come up and tell them. See, if I tell them, they don't believe me, but you can tell them. And you're teaching at Chafer Seminary.
Yes.
That's pretty good. Any other big ones? Really, I didn't do as much controversy tonight as we will do tomorrow night. And Wednesday, the doors will explode. So get your insurance paid up, and we will see you tomorrow night. Okay, Robbie. Close in prayer. Let's stand. Let's stand, have a word of prayer. By the way, as we pray, I want to read this one verse. I was going to come back to this verse when we did that letter, but then I got entangled and thought I'll do it tomorrow. But this is a good one to close with too. This is Colossians 2, verse 8. Be careful that no What did I do? Ouch. I dropped it. Be careful that no professor at the University of Oregon takes you captive. Right here. This is Paul. This is Colossians, page 1113, if you have the right Bible. Be careful that no professor at the University of Oregon takes you captive through vain and deceitful philosophy. There, I think the word is worldview, by the way, not just philosophy per se, discipline philosophy, but broader, although that would be arguable, I suspect. And I say that because of the rest of the verse. Based on human tradition, boy, oh boy, human tradition. What are those traditions today? Marx, Freud, Darwin, Nietzsche. The elementary forces of the world, by the way, I contend they have never changed in 6,000 years of recorded history. Never changed. So I don't think they'll change tomorrow. And not based on Christ. What a verse. And if you're reading your Bibles, someone mentioned that today, I think, then read the whole second chapter of Colossians. It's really a great read, and it fits in nearly everything we're doing here. In fact, one of your favorite verses in your church here is 2 Corinthians 10, 4 and 5. We'll see how that all fits together, too, when we finish up. Lord, we are thankful for another day, another opportunity to just meet together, Lord, and to think these things through. We pray for your wisdom. We pray that the Spirit of God might just really be a factor in this and illuminate our hearts and our minds, our consciousness. And, Father, through this, we might be better prepared to really help our young people. Our young people today are nearly desperate in so many ways and being misled in so many ways. And we pray for your wisdom on how to even handle many of these situations. Give us a good night of rest tonight. Pray for